Hey lovelies, the long anticipated part 2 of the OC redraw is here. Yay! Okay guys, so first up in this part 2 of the OC redraw is Kay. So Kay is owned by Han and Kay is a princess. Yes, I know. When I first saw the doodle, I was like, it's so cute, I had to draw her. And Kay is a princess who escaped a marriage she did not want. So now she's blending into society and she works at a clothing store that Han's other OC Chloe owns, and she also lives there. But of course, she's a princess most of her life, so she's still gonna have the princess attitude. And I don't think I have to add anything else to that story. That backstory is beautiful. The only thing I'll add is that she's still a princess. She grew up as a princess, so even though she's in society, she's still gonna act like a princess, like every princess movie we ever seen. So I'm just imagine that she treats the clothing store as a big closet. She's always trying on clothes and Chloe's always getting mad at her. But then every outfit she puts together, people tend to buy it. So she's like a walk-in model in the store. And that's why I drew her in front of a mirror. I just wanted to reflect her enjoying wearing clothes. And I think she's still kind of in the novelty stage of being a commoner or pretending to be a commoner. This is where things are all fuzzy and rainbow before reality hits. You know? So this was a really fun one to do and I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, so our next OC didn't have a name. It was drawn to me and sent on the community tab here on YouTube. Wow. And they say they're 14 or 12, I can't remember, and that they don't have an Instagram, but can you draw my OC? And it was just so cute. I had to do it, especially since they said the magic word of purple. You know, and the character has roller skates on their feet, so I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta do it. So the big problem I have in the beginning is that I don't think I have a name. I'm trying to find it right now, but I can't. I don't have a name, and I didn't get the skin tone color. And since my default is black, I made that character black. I'm sorry if they're not, but I really like how the coloring came out. And I just out of the blue because I drew K before the desk makeover, and I drew K in the beginning when I said I was going to do part 2, the first one I just did, and it took a while before I did this one. So the difference between the first illustration and this one is totally different, and the third one I did also looks like the second one. So you see how much your art style or your way of thinking can change in a short period of time. But anyhow, I really hope you like it, and I'll try to tag you if I could find the post. But this was a really fun thing to do because I really, really, really wanted to draw roller skates. I love roller skates. I should buy roller skates. Okay, bye. Amani. Yes. So remember in the first video when I mentioned that the second part will have fire? This is who I'm talking about. So Amani, she's a teenager with fire powers. 3 powers, or 3? Or is it these powers? So I'm not so sure I'm supposed to reveal this, but to say that her powers is because of her special lineage, which isn't released in the comic yet. So yes, it's a comic. I will put a link to where you can find the author, the person who owns this OC. Okay, and the biggest part of her story is her mental struggle. Yep. She suffers with depression and her powers reacts to her emotions. So you don't know, firepower plus depression, crazy antics. You know, maybe I should find this comic and try to read it. Yeah. So this one's kind of special because the owner of the OC, which is Toshi J, hey, she always comments on all my videos. So hi Tashi, thanks so much for subscribing. I think she was even with me in my old channel. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this one, I just wanted to emulate her struggle with her power and her mental health. And this was the one I did the most thumbnails for because there's so much ways I could do it. I even once tried to go over to like the confidence style where she finally you can't control the depression, but you can manage it. Manages her depression and controls her power better. But I'm like, nah, I want the mental struggle. So this is her walking towards the camera with her arm on fire and tears running down her eyes. And I hope that shows that even though she's powerful, she's also mentally weak in a way. Okay? And I really like how this came out, especially the ruins in the back of her. What is she doing in the ruins? I don't know. I just thought it was cool and kind of shows the desolation of her situation. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave you now. I wonder if I leave the flame eyes. And there you have it, lovelies. 3 more OCs that I draw. Apparently 3 is my limit. I tried and I did succeed drawing a 4th one, but in the transfer over from my laptop into my new computer, the file got corrupted and I ran out of time to redraw it. So I'm so sorry, but your saxophone, boa, tea drinking OC was fun. I did draw her. I drew her. File got corrupted. I tried everything to recover it. It just wasn't opening. Anyhow, thank you, lovely, so much for watching this video. I'm not going to do this in a while. I'm almost to 300 subscribers, and maybe I might do it when I reach 4 or 5. I don't know, but it takes a lot out of me, but it's really fun seeing your guys' OCs. All right, lovelies, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.